Mr. Sholmes. To stand so... What is that? In socially? Hold on.
How to pronounce insouciantly.
Insouciantly. To stand so... Oh, when I clicked. Either the man has extraordinary strength of mind or an extraordinary lack of feeling. I imagine he's feeling very little now. The detective is sleeping soundly in one of the antechambers. We'll strike a man when he's down, why don't you? Well then, counsel, are you fully prepared? Yeah, I think I got it. Present evidence against the statement that the cat flap-o-mato machine is a thing. This is going to decide the entire outcome of the trial. Okay, so I think we're going near the end of the whole thing. So I'm going to continue, and if it's long, I'm sorry. Very well then. Under the terms I have outlined, you may resume the cross-examination. Okay. Can't press. Do not press. Present. Okay. But the ruffians were jostling with the broker. I was near the interest shop. Can't disprove that. I can prove that. Fine. When he make their dash to the counter, which he did, pulled sharp pain his arm. Can't disprove that. Fine. I pursued the man, but he shoved himself in the storeroom. I could see him through the peephole in the door, though. There was no peephole in the door. Let's present the cat flapomat.
Objection.
What on earth is that eccentric contraption, counsel?
Oh, it's my cat flapomat, my lord. It makes a way for cats to get in and out of a room. It can cut through any door you can think of, and make a new little door in the middle of it. Oh, that's right, my lord. It's a device for creating a so-called cat flaps. Small doors for cats to come and go as they please without their owners having to open the main door.
I'm sure we can all work that out for ourselves. But that cat lover's contrivance has no possible relevance to this case.
Really?
Of course it doesn't. To start with, there was no cat flap in the pawnbroker's door. Not being a keeper of cats myself, I'm afraid I fail to see what this has to do with the matter in hand.
Well, perhaps it would help if I described its function another way then. This contraption is able to create a peephole in any door you can imagine in practically no time at all.
I beg your pardon, a peephole, you say?
2 nights ago, we arrived at the scene only minutes after the murder of Mr. Windibank had taken place.
That's right. According to the paperwork at the yard, it was you, your Japanese assistant, and Sholmes.
Well, yeah, the 3 of us were here together. And it's recently come to my attention that my assistant made use of this device at the time.
Your assistant did what?
There was a peephole in the storeroom door, I can attest to that. Because I looked through the peephole myself in order to see inside the locked storeroom.
This is ludicrous. What are you trying to say? Of course there was a peephole in the door. I said so as much as my testimony. How else could I have witnessed a crime, for pity's sake?
Well, yeah, how could you?
What? Counsel? Kindly say what you mean.
Okay then. This time to strike a final blow. What I mean is this, my lord. My assistant made the peephole in the storeroom door, and until such time as she did, the door had no hole to look through.
What? No.
Objection.
This is a farce. Are you really suggesting that the peephole in the door was...
Yeah, it was created only after the incident had taken place, by my judicial assistant using this device.
Your assistant tampered with the crime scene whilst being fully aware of the gravity of her actions. This is the most serious act of vandalism, so we'll get her. She's on a boat.
For which I humbly apologize, my lord. It was in the few minutes I had left the scene in order to pursue the Skulkin brothers and alert the police. Nevertheless, in the light of this new information, it becomes apparent that Mr. Graham's testimony is riddled with holes. We cat flapped your testimony, sir!
Riddled with... Explain yourself, counsel.
The majority of Mr. Graham's testimony that appears to incriminate the defendant is based upon what he witnessed through the peephole in the storeroom door.
Yes, that filthy girl shooting the man in the back.
However, if at the time of the incident, that peephole did not yet exist in the door, there's no possible way that you could have seen what you claim to have seen. In short, your entire testimony is a pack of lies.
Ordar. Is there any credence in this revelation?
Objection!
None whatsoever, as my learned friend must surely realize.
Exactly, this is just some cheap trick designed to discredit me.
Well, I'm afraid not, sir. I got proof.
Of course it is. Do you seriously expect to believe that plaything cut through a solid window? Oh, let me prove it.
Well, yeah, it's designed to be very powerful. You can cut through even the toughest of doors.
That's absurd. I don't believe it for a second.
I had a feeling you'd say that.
What?
Waggy, cooey, time for dinner. Meow. Well?
Ugh. Young lady, this is the Old Bailey. One does not make cat flaps in the oak paneling of the Old Bailey. I'm not done yet, don't worry. This doesn't mean that the people in the storeroom door at Winterbix is made by your machine. There's no way you can prove that it was.
Well, no, but it's easy.
What?
The cat flap in my cat flap-o-matic crates are all of a fixed size. And the dimensions of people at Winterbanks are an exact match.
Ugh.
Old Silky's lost for words. Excellent work, Iris. Thank you. I also have photographic proof.
And now it's my learned student friend's turn to be lost for words, I feel. I believe your judicial assistant has already left the country for your Eastern Island home.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Then you may have some difficulty establishing all the facts. For the sake of argument, let's assume that Peephole has dimensions that are a perfect fit for this contraption. In that case, when was the Peephole cut? The prosecution demands proof for the answer.
Sure.
What is the purpose of your line of inquiry, Lord Venziques?
It's very simple, my lord.
The defense argues that the Peephole was created after the incident using this device. But now that the perpetrator has returned to her native land, she cannot testify to that fact. There is no proof. As long as the defense remains unable to prove when the Peephole was made, my learned friend's claim amounts to nothing more than a baseless accusation.
Wait, what?
Naruhodo. Ryunosuke, come on. Brain cell time. Let's use it.
Indeed.
Indeed. Is that so, Lord Venziques? Well, counsel?
Well, don't give up now, Runo. This is the time to create your own opening and force your way through. Well, I don't know if I can do this, but I do know one thing. Susato is the greatest judicial assistant in the world. Aww.
Very well. The counsel for the defense will present evidence to support the claim made. I have been living on this one heart for so long. Okay, so. Can I show two things?
Take that!
What are you? A print from the detective's infernal cameras again.
Well, my judicial assistant, Mrs. Alta Mikotoba, is an extremely intelligent and capable woman, which is why I never had any cause to doubt that she would have considered this scenario and made sure I had the necessary proof.
And the necessary proof is this photographic print, counsel.
This print shows the scene in the shop moments after the defendant entered the premises.
Agreed. And also shows the accused mercilessly wielded a gun in the direction of the defenseless broker.
But, more to the point, it pictures the storeroom door in the background.
Let me see that print again. I don't believe it. This is really quite remarkable. The door to the storeroom is completely devoid of a peephole of any description.
Mr. Graydon, you couldn't possibly have witnessed the crime as you claim to have done. Because at the time it happened, there was no peephole in the door. Ugh. In other words, your testimony sucks!
Yeah. Good. Good. Blah, 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 blah.
So you committed perjury, and murder, and treason, and a bigomini.
Order. I am satisfied that the defense has substantiated its claim beyond all reasonable doubt. This witness's testimony was entirely fallacious. That's not the only thing we know now beyond all reasonable doubt. My learned friend's assistant, guilt can no longer be denied. The woman tampered with the crime scene.
So sue me! But more importantly...
Good lord, there's more, Lord Van Zieks.
The defense may have established a
Prehensible
instance of perjury. But that is no proof that this man is the victim's killer. Is this trial really that much longer? Well, yes, that's right. Wait, what? I was there at the scene. It's true. And I was shot in the arm. It's true. But that's all. Yes, in fact, if you look at the circumstances, I'm the victim here. Please, really? Well, I don't believe this. But they're right, as it stands now. I don't have any definitive proof he's the culprit. Still, he can't worm his way out of it now. Huh? You know what they say? The truth always comes out. There's no point in locking the cat's door after the cat has bolted. Isn't that right, Bruno? Huh? As Hurley always says, one line begets another. No, wait, that might have been a line I wrote for him in one of my stories. Well, no matter said it first, you're right. Mr. Graydon, not only did you give false testimony to the court, but the lies you told make no sense.
Make no sense?
What do you mean by such a remark? What you said in your testimony reveals that you know something you shouldn't have known. In other words, there's a fundamental inconsistency in your statements. You shouldn't know that the coat was covered in blood.
Objection.
This is provocative talk, counsel. When she enlightened the court, explains the alleged inconsistency. Iris is right. One line begets another. The inconsistency revealed in the witness's statement. Namely, the bloodstains on the coat. The bloodstains that were present on Miss Lestrade's coat. That's right, the victim's blood splattered all over her when she shot him. But how could you possibly have known that? Obviously, because I saw her do it through the peephole in the... The point is not that you lied in your testimony, Mr. Graydon. It's the nature of the lie you concocted that's so revealing. You're not making any sense. Then let me ask you a simple question. How is it, Mr. Graydon, that you knew of the existence of the peephole in the storeroom door? What? Well, obviously I...
Eh? Has the cot got your tongue, witness?
The peephole in the door was made after the incident occurred. And once I returned to the shop, having failed to catch the two burglars, Scotland Yard's investigators arrived immediately. Since that time, the police have been at Mr. Windibank's constantly carrying out their investigation. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson?
Well, yes, of course, sir. The place is chock full of pawned articles, and my lads have to thoroughly examine them all. So I gave the order to have the officers working around the clock in shifts so we can get through it all.
And consequently, there's no way that you, Mr. Graydon, could have gained access to the shop. Therefore, you should have known nothing about the peephole in the storeroom door. So the fact that this existence forms the basis of your testimony is completely inexplicable.
Objection.
And yet, the fact remains that Mr. Graydon did maintain that he witnessed the crime take place through the peephole in the door.
How on earth is that possible?
Could I have a word, please, Lord Van Zieks? Speak, Inspector.
It's just that I really ought to be getting back to the station now to put in my report. There's really nothing more I can add to this testimony, so if it's all the same to you...
Permission denied. Oh. It's not all the same to me, Inspector. Not at all. You'll remain exactly where you are until this trial concludes.
Of course, sir.
Mr. Graydon, you shouldn't have known about the existence of that peephole. It can only mean that you must have been informed about it.
Gregson's the rat! Okay, you know that feels really obvious now that I say that out loud. Gregson's the rat! What?
Ugh. Objection.
Stop there, my learned friend. You realize, I trust, that the words you've just uttered have extremely serious implications.
Well, yeah, but the defense believes that the details about the case that Mr. Graydon claims to have seen must have been revealed to him by a certain person before his testimony. And in fact, considering a particular clue we have, there's only one person it could be.
Who was the person in question, counsel? Who gave this witness details of the crime scene to facilitate his false test?
How could you?
Take that!
The truth is, it can only have been you, Inspector Gregson. Me?
Objection!
You had better have some proof to substantiate such a rash claim, my friend.
Consider the fact that we have only been aware of Mr. Ashley Graydon's identity for the last few hours. We learned of it only during the course of the trial today.
Indeed, preparations for this testimony were made with great urgency during our hour-long recess, while the police executed the subpoena and brought the man here from the communications station.
And until that time, Mr. Graydon would have had no idea. No inkling that he would suddenly be required to appear in court.
Are you suggesting that until such a time he was summoned?
Well, yes, my lord. Until then, it's reasonable to assume he knew nothing of the people. Oh, when they were whispering. It was only once Mr. Graydon was in the stand that he realized his position. That he would have to defend himself against the accusation that he was a third intruder.
You're suggesting to the court that it was whilst this trial was in progress that he received the information, so he could commit perjury in order to save his skin.
Exactly. And the only person with the knowledge of the investigation that he had any contact with is you, Inspector Gregson.
This is a bloomin' outrage. Why'd I be giving away details of our investigations to this fellow, eh? I was summoned to his lordship's chambers during the recess of my case. Have you forgotten that? Quite true. I had a number of questions regarding the events that transpired at the pawnbrokery. Which means the first time these two laid eyes on one another was after proceedings resumed following the recess. Since then, they've been in full view on the stand, where such illicit discussions couldn't possibly—
They did! Oh, I just remembered something, Bruno. Well, what is it, Iris? There was a one time before, wasn't there? I think it was when Ginny was testifying. Oh yeah, now that you mention it. When the bailiff was dispatched to retrieve Mr. McGilda's music box from the scene of the crime. That's it. It was during that testimony. It would have been possible for you to give Mr. Graydon the information he needed then.
You little toe rag, you're making this all up. I'm a respectable Scotland Yard inspector, for crying out loud. Why would I do something like that? Why'd I be giving away confidential details to the likes of this bloke?
Well, admittedly, you wouldn't have had any reason to do something like that for no gain. But perhaps it was part of a deal of some kind. Then it starts to make more sense.
What deal, counsel?
Well, I wonder if perhaps in exchange for details about the people in the crime scene, Mr. Graydon agreed to give a certain something to the inspector.
I'm sure I need to remind the inspector that, if found out to be true, striking a deal of any kind with a witness would be considered a gross case of malfeasance. It's becoming clear that jumping in with accusations is the student's specialty.
Well, I don't do that.
But with the stakes so high, the prosecution's not prepared to listen to baseless charges. It is incumbent on the defense now to present evidence in support of this diabolical claim. Just what are you proposing that the inspector demanded of the witness in return? The court must see proof of this alleged deal.
Well, I don't have the second music box. Inspector Gregson really struck a deal with Mr. Graydon. Then logically, there's only one thing he could have asked for. This must be it. Bruno, do you think it could be? Well, yeah. It's a missing link that would join all the dots together in this puzzle.
I must press you for an answer now, counsel. What? Does it count if I just give him this again? He wants the music box disc. Okay. I'm gonna click this, and if it's not this, I'm gonna click that.
Take that!
Inspector Gregson, besides this murder,
Is it not true that you've been working on another very important case? What? What are you getting at now, Sunshine?
Is it possible that this other top secret case is what's alluded to in this newspaper article here? The classified secrets being leaked overseas from the Ministry of Justice.
How the bleeding Nora could you...
We discovered during the course of this trial the music box deposit at Windibanks by Magnus McGilded. A special music box designed to play 2 discs at once. It would seem very likely now that that encoded on the pair of discs that were in Mr. McGilded's possession are the leaked classified secrets. So I put it to you, Inspector, that in order to recover the second discs containing those secrets, that you covertly made a deal with Mr. Graydon in which you exchanged the discs for the details of the case.
Order!
On the day of the incident, when we met you, Mr. Windibanks, you said this. Scotland Yard already knew that at the time, isn't that right? That Magnus McGilded was involved in the stealing of government secrets.
My orders were, recover the medium, use to convey the secrets leaked from the ministry, and do it on the QT, strictly hush-hush.
And that explains why, when I present this disc as evidence to the court, you objected so heavily, I presume. Because you knew that it contained highly confidential information.
Blimey, not likely. I mean, I wasn't sure of that myself. I was a possibility, that's all. Inspector, surely you're not saying that in order to acquire the second of these music box discs.
I can't say discs very well. Stop saying it.
You did indeed reveal confidential details of the crime scene to the witness. To aid and abet this man to giving false testimony.
There's no other way that Mr. Graydon could have known the existence of the people. It's the only explanation. A deal was struck between these two men.
Bleh. I feel so betrayed, really.
Objection!
If, and I stress if, the summary assertion turns out to be founded in truth, it would mean that the second disc is, as we speak, here in this very courtroom.
Wait, what? In this room? How could you possibly make a claim like that?
Because Inspector Gregson is a Scotland Yard detective.
Huh?
What's that supposed to mean, eh? As a seasoned policeman, the inspector will have approached this alleged deal with caution. Certainly he would not have accepted the gentleman's agreement in this matter. No, he would have insisted on having the article agreed upon in the palm of his hand. Good gracious, and you mean to say Inspector Gregson already has the item in question in his possession? He has the second... he has the second disc actually on his person.
The defense demands the inspector is searched at once. Definitely. They could only have struck a deal with each other when Ginny was testifying before. And Grexy hasn't moved from the witness stand since. My lord, please. Order an examination of his personal effects immediately.
Well, Inspector?
You don't have to listen to it, you just show it.
This young lad wants to tone down his imagination. He insulted me and my profession quite enough. However, he will put this matter to bed and dispel any doubts about my involvement. Then I'll happily submit to a body search.
Wait, what? He's going to agree to it?
I presume you're aware of the precipice on which you now teeter, my learned student friend. You made a most serious allegation against Scotland Yard here. If, following the search of the inspector's personal effects, no disc is found, you'll be deemed unfit for court service. This trial will end, and my country's government will formally demand of yours that you are severely reprimanded.
Well, that sounds serious.
Indeed. To have a visiting student make such a defamatory remarks about our country's most senior police force is not something Her Majesty's government will be able to overlook.
You're just threatening Runa because you're scared.
The accusation is beyond serious. You must be prepared for grave consequences.
Well, it's true. I can't imagine Gregson would have accepted a gentleman's agreement for something so critical. The disc must have physically changed hands, which means the inspector should have it. But somehow...
When he grabbed him and shook the dude, he put it in the dude's jacket. It's in Nash. It's in Nash's jacket! Very well, counsel. You know the implications. Let me ask you one final time.
Well, yes, my lord?
Do you still persist in formally requesting a search of the inspector's personal effects?
Search someone else. Well, yes, the defense fully demands the search be conducted.
Well, don't say you weren't warned. But your typical stubbornness may well land you in hot water this time. Perhaps the lesson will do you some good. Fair enough, I got nothing to hide. Very well then. Bailiff, conduct a search on the inspector's personal effects. No.
The defense demands a search, but not of Inspector Gregson.
What? Now what's all this? I'm the one you're accusing, aren't I? I thought you wanted to search me.
Well, no, Inspector, not you. Somebody else.
What's the meaning of this, eh? Lost at last, have you, sunshine? Of course you can't put up with this nonsense. You're being completely... I mean, I'm not stating all my sentences quickly enough. I agree. Ryunosuke, it's almost 2 hours. Please.
Be quiet, all of you. Oh, hi, Earth. Ryuno's doing what you all told him to do, and having the courage of his convictions. So you should respect that and listen to what he has to say in good faith. Because that's the British way.
Well said, young lady. Indeed, this court is in awe of the defense counsel's conviction and eagerly awaits his next words. You what? Now don't be so hasty, my lord.
If I'm not speaking about things I've seen in court today, I'm fairly sure that I know who is at disk at the moment. There's only one person it could be.
Counsel, of whom do you wish to request a search now?
Present? Of my lord, Mr. Nash Skulkin.
Well, I never.
Yeah, blimey. Me? Yeah.
Very well then, bailiff. Restrain the witness and conduct a thorough search of his personal effects. Please, my lord.
Inspector?
Inspector? Scotland Yard, has to object to the search.
Objection.
Unfortunate for you, Inspector. Your objections carry no weight here.
Eh?
In this courtroom, only the prosecution and the defense have the authority to object.
But Lord Van Zeeks,
I have no idea what forces are in play that might influence your actions. But personally, I have no intention of obstructing the course of this trial.
Ugh.
Bailiff, carry out the search.
Now, hold on a moment. I don't know nothing. Nothing about no disc. Cut it out.
Ah! Here, my lord. In the witness's pocket. I found this. Good lord, that's... another music box disc.
I don't know nothing about nothing. That's the second music box disc left behind by Magnus McGilded. Is it not, Inspector Gregson?
Ugh. Arg! Order. Mr. Skulkin, what have you to say for yourself?
Gordon Bennett. Gordon Fleming Bennett. I swear I didn't know nothing about that disc. Honest to God.
Counsel, would you please explain what exactly is going on here? The alleged deal that was struck between this witness and this detective, no?
Without question, my lord.
Then for pity's sake, why on earth was this man in possession of the disc the inspector traded for the information?
Inspector Gregson is a shrewd, calculating man who rarely loses his composure. But at one particular point in this trial, he exhibited some unusual behavior for a brief moment.
I don't recall. What unusual behavior?
Yeah. It was, during my cross-examination, Mr. Graydon. Yeah, I did it all. Thought my noggin was gonna fall clean off, I did. I was wishing I'd been born as my brother, I was. And what exactly happened to make the detective attack you like that? I ain't got a clue. He just suddenly turned and grabbed me whistle like that and started shaking me. Why the blessed didn't you mention a third gun when you got down to the station was what it said. He yelled it right in my ear hole, he did. My head's still throbbing. The way the detective behaved was extremely out of character. But looking back now, it must have been then that he did it. That was the opportunity Inspector Gregson created for himself in order to hide the disc.
Well, bless my way, he hit it.
You.
But I'm afraid I failed to comprehend the motive here. The detective had acquired the disc he was after. Why on earth would he then proceed to hide it in another man's pocket? This is a court of law. He could have submitted the item as evidence.
It would appear, my lord, that the inspector was not at the liberty to do that.
Why ever not?
As the man himself revealed earlier, his current assignment has some special conditions.
Hush! A top secret assignment, is it?
As far as we're aware, the information stolen comes from confidential government communications. It would seem that if the information were to be revealed in court as evidence, it would be problematic. Does that sum up the situation, Inspector?
I'm operating under direct orders from the Ministry.
I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to answer that question. So, realizing there's a chance that you may be searched here in court, you took steps to hide the disc you had acquired from the witness.
Ah! What does this mean?
He only pretended to attack Mr. Skulkin in order to get close enough to him. To slip the second disc in his pocket.
So it was all a pretense. Well now, Inspector Gregson, and you, Mr. Graydon, are you prepared to admit the accusation made against you of this alleged deal?
Admit to it? Yours truly? Please.
Bro, I have to end this episode eventually.
Mr. Graydon. Clearly our Eastern visitor has some uncommonly active imagination. However, there's no proof that I passed that disc to the inspector. Wait, but then, how do you explain the reason why you knew about the people?
I'm under no obligation to explain.
Huh? Yeah, I lied in my testimony. That I admit, so sentence me accordingly. But that's all I admit.
Murder, leaking government secrets, striking a deal with the detective?
All of it is this young Eastern man's fancy. I have no idea what any of this is about.
Are you serious? Alright, I think I have to chop this episode into 2 parts. So it may be cut off weirdly some point.
Well, what about you then, Inspector Gregson? Do you admit to making a deal with Mr. Graydon in order to acquire the disc?
Ladies and gents of the jury, as a Scotland Yard inspector, I will declare this and nothing more. I am acting in the best interests of the country. Whatever I've done, it's been in the name of justice. So as members of the public of this fine country, I like to think that justice will be on your guiding light when you're making your decisions. This is quite a quandary indeed. Really, have I encountered such extraordinary tumult in the concluding of a trial? Nevertheless, in the absence of any further evidence to be presented, I believe it is time that we put the matter to the jury for their final leanings. Well now, as a fellow soldier of the Queen of Country, I must say I sympathize with the old inspector.
Yes, he's a dependable man, I'm quite sure. In service, one does become a good judge of character.
Even crossing your eyes doesn't help when it comes to looking at this case. It's all blurred to me. Well, as a fellow professional, I like to put my faith in the detective, really.
Graydon, he's a highly skilled operator, stop. Currently in presence of idols, stop.
Detective has very much trust in eyes. More than this, I cannot say.
Wait, I don't believe it. These 6 jurors are. They're gonna believe Gregson if they declare a decision now. Is Jenny gonna be found guilty? If I don't manage to procure some definitive evidence right now, then we're gonna lose. Either some proof that Graydon killed Mr. Windibank or stole those government secrets, or some evidence to force Gregson into admitting that he struck a deal with the witness.
Well then, counsel, I think it's time I impose on the jurors to declare their final decisions. No, that is unless you have some compelling evidence. What else do I have?
If I let the judge call on the jurors to announce their leanings, Gina's gonna be found guilty. Okay, I'm not gonna do that. I don't trust them anyway. So there's no choice then, Reno. You have to throw more evidence at them. What do I have? This is it now. It all comes down to this. Who would I present evidence against? Gregson or Graydon? Okay, well, I don't have anything against Graydon else, right? And I can't leave the jury. What do I have against Gregson, though? Inspector Gregson, there's one final piece of evidence I'd like you to see.
Eh? What's that then?
We If you refuse to acknowledge that you did in fact strike a deal with the witness here today, then you leave us no choice but to examine this piece of evidence thoroughly.
Oh, the music box disc. Well, go on.
This is my last chance. It looks like I'm going to have to force his hand here. One final piece of evidence against the detective to admit the deal he clearly struck a grade in.
Wait, do I not have the disc? Is it music box? Okay, if I don't have the disc, then it's the other half of the music box, right?
Take that!
Is that Mr. McGill's Peculiar Music Box, Counsel?
Well, yeah. With the disc already in place ready to play, I think perhaps it would be a good time to listen to the sound produced by the music box again. Only this time, with a second...
You know, we're saying that, I think we're bluffing, and I hope we're bluffing because we're playing government secrets in court. Knowingly? Even if it's not our government, I feel like that's illegal. I don't know. Okay, let's do it. Goodness, this disc, Counsel. No, wait, I can't let you do that.
Well, why not?
Because, well, this has got nothing to do with this case. That's
I'm not sure, Inspector.
Eh?
The defense has already proposed that the sounds heard by the court earlier from this music box were in part of a Morse code message. We know that Morse code comprises of 2 distinct tones. The defense believes the second disc contains the second tone needed to complete the message. And I have a chance to confirm that theory.
For crying out loud, Sunshine, we're talking about state secrets here. If you go letting the whole courtroom hear the confidential information like that, it's treason.
Then do you admit the charge? That in order to protect the state secrets, you engaged in unlawful dealings with a witness?
You're mad. If you let that secret information out in the public domain, you'll be making an enemy of the entire British government, you idiots.
Yeah, but you're trying to, like, murder a 13-year-old girl. But let's not forget, Inspector, that you, a Scotland Yard officer, leaked confidential case details to a witness. They continue to lie to the court, and all because, by fair means or foul, you're determined to do your duty. Well, by fair means or foul, I'm prepared to do mine.
Don't you dare!
I'll stop at nothing to protect my clients. I don't care who I make an enemy.
Okay, chill. 3 steps down, Rinosuke.
My lord, if you please. The court must hear the sounds made by the music box.
Come on, Van Zeeks, for Pete's sake, stop him.
Objection!
Show me the leg! Inspector, you should know my methods by now. I'm a prosecutor. I'm no Scotland Yard puppet. Ugh. In this courtroom, my duty is the law. So let me propose a toast to uncovering the truth. By fair means or foul.
Well, no.
No. Not me. I'm saying yes. Very well. The defense stands here, and the prosecution has been made very clear, I feel. Therefore, in accordance with the defense request, the court will now listen to this music box. The court will now listen as this music box is set in operation once more. This time with a second disc in place, and both discs playing simultaneously. Are we actually gonna listen to it? I was bluffing!
Oh, listen to that. It's unmistakable now. It's Morse code.
Is it? God, if I heard both at once, I wouldn't have assumed. Alright, I admit it, whatever you want. But for the love of God, shut that blooming box up.
So we won, yeah? Man, I made lunch like 2 hours ago and I want to eat it and I haven't been able to. Well, let me ask you again, Inspector Gregson. Did you or did you not strike a deal with the witness next to you on the stand, Mr. Ashley Graydon?
Specifically, did you furnish the witness with confidential case details in exchange for this music box disc? Did you reveal the existence of the peephole in the pawnbroker storeroom door, Inspector?
I did.
Stop! What are you doing, man? It's all exactly like the young Eastern lawyer said. When the child resumed after the recess, and we were stood here and stand together. That's when he approached me with the deal. Shut up, you imbecile! Shut up! Psst, you there. The detective who turned up at the pawnbrokery the other day, aren't you? I may have something you're looking for, Inspector, with me at this very moment. So how about a trade? I suggest you accept, or information that may make certain individuals uncomfortable soon become very public indeed. I couldn't let information become public knowledge, not under any circumstances. So I accepted this man's proposal and told him details. He could have accepted it and then lied, dude. You didn't have to tell him the truth. So I accepted this man's proposal and told him details about the case that should have put him in the clear. The peephole in the room door, and the bloodstains on the overcoat. By giving false testimony, this witness intended to have the defendant wrongly accused of murder. Inspector, you knew that. Yet you still revealed those details to facilitate the witness's perjury. I did. But then it turned out the peephole had only been made that night after the incident took place. Scotland Yard wasn't aware of that, if I'm perfectly honest. Well, Mr. Graydon, what do you have to say for yourself? Ugh. There's nothing and no one left for you to hide behind. You struck a deal with the inspector in order to escape conviction of a very serious crime. Namely this. You were the third intruder who broke into the pawnbrokery on the night in question. And you perpetrated the murder of proprietor, Mr. Pop Windibank. Ugh, you. You're gonna fight me? Traitor! Hey, bailiff? 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 Bailiff! Bailiff! Restrain that man. At once. Yeah, a little late, dude. That's it then. It's all over. Yeah, I definitely got split this in 2 episodes. I despise my life growing up. Those slums are vile places. I was cursed from birth, born to poverty, the son of a penniless artisan. My parents did nothing but quarrel all day long. What little money they had was never spent on me. Don't care. You're murdered. So I set about studying, to better myself, to one day escape from that hellhole. And you eventually became a communications officer. I admire your determination. But then you decided to try and sell government secrets? Why? Oh no, so your dad would love you? Okay, it's a little sad, but you annoyed me, so... Isn't it obvious? Because I wanted money. No, that sounds lies. Even now, years later, the nightmares of my life in the slums wake me in the small... Oh, wait. Okay. Kind of get this, too. Either you wanted your dad's approval, or you're just in fear of being homeless or in poverty again. Which, again, I understand and I feel bad. What? You guys are all gonna murder a little kid. I wanted to drown them out with more money than anyone who lived in that squalor could ever imagine. Then one day, I met him. Mr. Magnus McGill. Did everyone, like, first saw him, I'm like, he did it? I was so right. God damn your voice. You're a female with a queer talent, so you are. I might throw your way if you're interested. All you need to do is go along with me, a little plan for now. I was to steal the Ministry's telegraphic message logs, and McGilda would buy them for a handsome sum. I was responsible for the inspections of the Ministry's communications office. It was a simple enough task. The lure of the devil's offerings. How easy it is to succumb. But you must have surely realized the seriousness of the crime you're committing. And for that reason, I took great lengths to ensure that my actions were untraceable. By using the music box. My father was a brickmaker, though my mother divorced him when I was still a child. Well, yeah, Mr. Mason Milverton. Yeah, that's right. He was very skilled with his hands. He once been a music box maker's apprentice.
I imagined his skills to be sufficient to create a machine that could generate Morse code. So I sought out my father again, to employ his services. It was the first time I'd seen him since I left the slums 10 years ago. Oh, look at you, Ashley. What a fine gent you become, eh? He was a different man to the one in memory, a thin, frail old man. But poverty had never broken him, never corrupted him like it had me. I was sure he wouldn't help me if I told him the real reason. So I made up a story. Well, I got some work for you, Father. I need some music box discs made. Music box discs, eh? A musician friend of mine has written some music he wants to sell to the public. I brought the score with me. There are 2, actually. I'd be delighted, son. It's been 20 years since I did any work like this, though. Fetch my tools, would you? They're in the loft. That's how I had to make the 2 discs. Thereby splitting the information in 2. They were taking considerable precautions, indeed. It was to protect myself as much as anything. It meant that I could deal at McGilda in 2 separate transactions. The first involved the first of the 2 discs and the music box for playing them. I exchanged them with Miss Gilda for 10 guineas. Then the receipt of the second disc, he would pay me 1,000 guineas. Oh, geez, okay. So what happened on the omnibus 2 months ago? Was the second part of the deal? The exchange of the second disc? Yes. I sold the man information that way a number of times already, but seems to become reluctant to part with his money.
That doesn't quite make sense, Mr. Graydon, for why was it on the omnibus 2 months ago your father, Mr. Milverton, was the one dealing with Mr. McGilda, not yourself?
When I received the 1,000 guineas after my first completed dealings at McGilda, I decided to give 200 to my father for his troubles. But my father realized something was amiss. In time, he worked out that I must be involved in something dubious. And when he did, he said to me, "Next time there's an exchange, you'll let your old man do it, understand? Otherwise, I won't take your money anymore." He wanted to protect his son. So McGilda was actually going to murder Graydon. I think. That was my father's way of dealing with it, I suppose. Climb into the omnibus, hand over the second disc, and take the money from McGilda. That's it. He had no idea what was actually on the disc I'd asked him to make. He never knew. Just like I'll never know why everything went so horribly wrong that night. All I know is that the disc was taken from him, and he never returned home. It was only then that I found out what sort of monster McGilda really was. So did you light the thing on fire? So after 10 years of not once uttering it, I swore on my father's name. To exact revenge. Wait, revenge? As anyone with even the remotest knowledge of the man will no doubt be able to imagine, McGilda brought all his wealth and influence to bear, in the most despicable of ways. To crush any semblance of justice in his trial. Wait, whoa. Sorry, oh God, it's 2 hours already. So, McGilda bought out Strongheart, who then had me defend him? Does Strongheart think I was going to win or lose? What does Kazuma have to do with all this? And what does Poison Lady have to do with all of this? God, things! The crime scene was tampered with, evidence was fixed, the witnesses were bribed. That trial 2 months ago was a farce from start to finish. My feet had barely touched British soil back then, and I walked into that hornet's nest completely unaware of the sinister background to it all. I made plenty of money on my dealings with McGilda by then, so I spared nothing in my arrangements 2 months ago. I knew exactly who to hire. If you're willing to pay the price, there are people in the city willing to do anything you ask. McGilda himself has shown me that. Wait, are you saying that? I think you have the picture now. After he twisted everything to his favor in his courtroom to ensure that he walked free. I took matters in my own hands and delivered the justice that monster deserved. That tragic accident following the trial here 2 months ago. Was planned and executed? Oh, was planned and executed by yours truly. Wait, McGill's death that day? Was caused by this man? So the policeman who came to Mr. McGilded, he could examine the omnibus again. That's right. An imposter, hired by me. Oh, an imposter, okay. McGilded uses wealth to manipulate the trial. He paid people to adulterate the omnibus, with all manner of false evidence. He threatened witnesses to lie in their testimony. So I gave the man a taste of his own medicine. Once the omnibus was doused in paraffin, one of my sham policemen ushered McGilded inside and set him on a one-way journey to hell. An eye for an eye. That's how I avenged my father's death.
A spine-chilling account indeed.
But that wasn't the end of it for me. There was a loose end, you see. A loose end? Yes. I should think it's obvious. The second disc, which my father had taken to exchange with McGilded.
Ah, yes. For there was indeed no mention of it in the man's trial 2 months ago. Clearly because it had been removed from the scene of the crime.
When I realized it was missing, I remembered something. Something from the first time I dealt with McGilded. This is the first of 2 discs, and the music box need to play them.
Well, look at that now. Win and Jeeves' little invention. So then, as promised, 10 guineas for you, young man.
What's this?
Windibank's pawnbrokery.
Aye, 'tis a pawnbroker's ticket, so it is. You can use it to redeem an article I've deposited you for ye. Lawyers don't need to give it a name, just hand over the ticket and tell the fiend the watchword. I'll put a jewel in the pawn for ye. It'll fetch a good 10 guineas if you sell it, so it will.
I've never heard of pawnbrokery being used in quite a way before.
Have you not, Mr. Graydon? London's pawnbrokeries are very useful places, you know. Each one is like an extremely secure vault. So I knew that, if he'd taken the steps to hide the disc, we'd be in that pawnbrokery somewhere. And the night he killed my father, he must have entrusted the ticket to someone. Well, yeah, to Gina. Well, I remember now. When we first met you at Windibank's afternoon 2 days ago. You had a description of Miss Lestrade written down. How'd you know who you were looking for? From the trial. That pickpocket's testimony was clearly peculiar. Anyone could see that. I realized immediately that she was another of McGilded's pawns. That he must have threatened her somehow. I was fairly convinced it would be her who had the ticket. So I started to make some inquiries. I had a strong suspicion that the girl would come out of the woodwork on the redemption deadline. And he was absolutely right. And yes, sure enough she did. All I needed to do was wait until the girl went to Windibank's to redeem the articles.
Dude, why'd you pay her off then?
That would have been easy, because she was like, she wanted to sell the thing anyway. But unfortunately, she redeemed only Mr. McGilded's overcoat and the 1 disc that was in his pocket. The all-important music box with the 2nd disc inside was missing. Because it had already been forfeited 2 days earlier. But I was unaware of that fact. Had I not been, I could have avoided my nighttime excursion.
Meanwhile, as our investigation into the stolen government secrets was progressing, we picked up on the fact that McGilded was involved.
Inspector, you've recovered fast.
My orders were to recover the stolen information as quickly as possible. So we started gathering the fellow's possessions and examining whatever we could lay our hands on. We had a full-scale investigation going on in the yard. We had to keep it as quiet as we could.
Then, when the inspector here took the disc from me in the pawnbrokery that day, I became nervous. I was sure the music box and the 2nd disc were still there in the shop somewhere. So I knew it was a race against time. I had to find those articles before the police did. So that's what prompted you to break into the place that same night. With the help of your old friends, the Skulkin brothers.
He's mad at the friends thing.
What happened that night in the pawnbrokery? I can only describe as a nightmare. When Nash and Ringo were searching the counter, I located the music box I sold to McGilded on the shelves of the forfeit articles. And the 2nd disc was inside. Yes. I slipped it into my pocket with a very deep sigh of relief. But then, something entirely unexpected happened.
He got shot.
A gunshot rang out from in the shop, and I felt a sharp pain in my left arm. The broker fired his gun and the bullet pierced your limb.
Yes, exactly, but unfortunately, I decided to bring my own gun with me that night, just in case. Before I knew what was happening, I'd fired back. The man had already turned to flee. I hadn't intended to fire in his direction, much less kill him. But unfortunately for both of us, the bullet hit home. I struck him in the middle of his back as he fled through the storeroom door for refuge. A sorry, sorry tale. It all took place in the blink of an eye. I don't imagine Nash and Ringo even realized what had happened at first. I was terrified, so I fled. Oh. And that's the whole story. That's everything that happened at Windibanks on that wretched night. Dot 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 dot. Dot 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 dot. Dot 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 dot. We still have an epilogue to do too, don't we? Earlier, you called Mr. McGilded a monster. A man who uses wealth and influence to distort the facts and escape justice for the crimes of murder. What tragic irony, for what you have done is exactly the same. You become the very monster you saw and despised so deeply in McGilded. Yeah, I think I have. Do I make me feel bad for you now? Well, this has been a long and exhausting trial. Yeah. However, it would seem that at last we've arrived at the truth. Inspector Gregson, what of Mr. Ashley Graydon? He's been restrained, my lord, and is being escorted to the yard. He'll be charged with the murder of Mr. Windibank and the stealing of government secrets. Very good. And you, Inspector? Regrettably, you will have to face charges yourself. Yes, my lord, of course. Again, you know, actually, hold on. I'd feel a lot more pay for them, again, if they weren't trying to... Gina is, like, 14, 15, hold on. Still, she's 17 years old, and they're trying to get her killed for a murder she didn't commit. And everyone was kind of in on this. Also, I think you would have been more in play. I'm worried about you. Wait, how old is Herlock? I swear to God, you better be older than 21. 34. Yeah, okay. Which inspires that you were complicit in helping a criminal escape justice. The fact remains whether or not you were doing so in the line of duty. The crime is a serious one, Inspector, and inexcusable. Now, to the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Oh, yeah?
It is time for the final abjuration. Is the jury ready, Mr. Foreman? Yes, sir! This is really it now. The last push, the final call, the finishing whistle. My men are ready to deliver their verdicts. Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Very well. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we will declare your final decisions to court.
Not guilty.
Yeah.
Not guilty.
Assholes.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Except for you. Juror 5, you were cool, for the most part.
Lots of stuff. Finally, Runo, you managed to do it.
Well, yeah, finally's the word. I really wasn't sure if we'd come out on top there for a while.
Susie was right. You're the best lawyer in the world.
Miss Lestrade, I am not finished with you yet.
Eh? What are you looking at me for like that for?
Perjury. Before you start enjoying your freedom, there are certain other crimes to consider,
Eh?
2 months ago in this very courtroom, no less. You gave false testimony, did you not? Wait, okay, hold on. But how is not everyone not in prison then? And in relation to the trial today, not only did you unlawfully enter Mr. Windibank's pawnbrokery, you also attempted to abscond at Mr. McGilded's property, it seems.
Eh? I never did nothing of the sort.
Well, of course not. It's not like you were gleefully wearing McGilded's coat in your cell yesterday or anything.
Oh, I just was getting excited about throwing a party for Jeannie this evening.
And turning our attention to the defense. Determining that, when played together, the music box disc contained a message in Morse code was... Well, it was certainly a most unexpected revelation, Counsel. Compliment me, Venzix. Compliment me? Quite so, my lord. The prosecution was caught entirely off guard. In fact, I think we should applaud my learned friend's courage here today. I propose a toast. To demanding that government secrets be disseminated... No! Disseminated before the entire courtroom.
Wait, what? I'm sorry about that. It was the only way I could get Inspector Gregson to admit what he had done, so... If I may say something on that point... Isn't that... It's, about the sounds produced by the music box before. I do wonder if that was really Morse code at all. Wait, what? What are you saying, madam? Oh, well, it's just that I'm really rather fanatic when it comes to Morse code, you see. So much of the whole world seems to be covered in dots and dashes to me, in fact.
Goodness, madam. An unhealthy level of obsession, one feels.
But I must say that, in my opinion, the sounds produced by those two discs were nothing more than that. A meaningless series of two different tones.
What? What?
Can that really be? It wasn't Morse code after all?
Yeah, I was saying it earlier too. I'm so smart! Go me! I was like, it sounded pretty. Almost did I not say it? God damn, I hope I said it out loud.
My lord, the feds like to listen to music box again.
Are you off your nut?
I was going to tell you, those discs contain ministerial secrets, am I right?
This courtroom is not an appropriate forum to discuss the nature of the government Yeah, we should do it in the judge's antechambers. We know Mr. Gillick conspired to trade national secrets with our enemies. Secrets acquired from Mr. Graydon. Now that the man has admitted to his crimes, we have no need to pursue the matter further.
But it's really going to bother me.
Miss Lestrade.
Yeah, my lord?
That which you have seen today here in this courtroom has been extremely disturbing. Falsified evidence, intimidation, perjury, a grim catalogue of depravity. An appalling experience to befall any child.
Come on, that ain't nothing I don't see most days in the back slums.
I beg your pardon?
If you're weak, you pay for it. That's just how life goes. Well, Gina... But look, I reckon I'll work something out today. The world ain't fair, but if you wanted to change, you gotta start at home. You gotta change how you are yourself.
Well, that's a very laudable lesson, I would say. I eagerly look forward to the born-again Miss Lestrade never gracing my courtroom with her presence again. Now, with regard for the murder of Mr. Popwindabank, proprietor of the pawnbroker business on Baker Street, I hereby declare the defendant Miss Gina Lestrade not guilty.
I would like to eat my worms.
Wait, no, don't cause vandalism in the courtroom. That's also a crime. That is all. Court is adjourned. Oh my god, I'm going to 2.5 hours. What am I going to cut these episodes at? Oh. Hey. So, what, we staring at each other in an empty courtroom? On a personal note, I must say you've surprised me, my Far Eastern friend. Hey, I like that better. You can say that. Uh-oh. Despite being... Okay. You saw through the pretense to the malice that festered within that Englishman. At the same time, saw through the grime to the surprising heart of your English clients. You have a curious talent for judging character, especially considering our very different cultures.
I don't think there's anything curious about it. Whether we're from the Empire of the Great Britain or the Empire of Japan. We're all human beings. We're not so different on the inside.
You know, I took this case for one very simple reason. To lock swords with you once again here in the courtroom. You did, huh? You did, huh? When I encountered you for the first time 2 months ago, it reminded me. of toasting friendship and trust with another. Wait, okay, hold on. Do you know Kazuma? Only to find my trust betrayed. Through you, I hope to look into the eyes of the man I once knew and try to understand. Wait, whoa. Wait, you mentioned something similar earlier today about total betrayal at the hands of the Japanese. Wait, what happened exactly? Well, you may ask. And one day, in the sequel, when the time comes, you'll learn the answer, whether you like it or not. Okay, I'll wait for that day if I must. Look, we know one other Japanese person, and it's not Susato-san, so it's gotta be Kazuma. Oh wait, or no, Susato's dad? Coming to be known as a Reaper of the Bailey and my retirement from service 5 years ago. It gives me cause to wonder if our meeting has some deeper purpose. So, farewell, my learned friend. Until we meet again. In the sequel. I'm gonna take a break from Ace Attorney, though, before I go to the sequel, though. Just heads up. My voice needs a break, and I have a lot of streaming to do for March. Well, it's done. It's over at last. But where's Iris disappeared to? Oh, congratulations, Gina. I knew it all along. I knew that you were innocent. Well, you did what you said, Miss Naruto. You believed in me, right up until the end. You're as odd as your name. Well, what's odd about it? I told you I had faith in you, didn't I? No one ever has before, see? Kept a promise, I mean, properly. Well, that's awful. I figured something out today. All my life growing up in the slums, I never trusted no one. Well, that's just because I've been scared of being stabbed in the back. I mean, the more you trust someone, the more it hurts when they let you down. Well, yeah, I think I can understand that. After all, I had a taste of it in that trial 2 months ago. I chose to trust someone and paid for it. Did we trust him? That betrayal left a big scar. You know, though, Gina, I worked something out quite recently, too. Trusting in someone else is really an exercise in learning to trust yourself. When your gut tells you it's the right thing to do and your trust is rewarded, there's no better feeling in the world. I think I have you to thank for reminding me that valuable lesson. Oh, well, yeah, if you say so. Don't make a fat lot of sense to me, though. What I'm trying to say is that putting my faith in you, Gina, has been a real pleasure. For crying out loud, pack it in. But I suppose I sort of feel the same way. Well, I mean, sometimes trusting someone else is, you know, alright. Well, thanks. This is the way I see it, Ryunosuke. A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his clients. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself. Well, after this experience, I'm starting to feel like I understand what you mean. Kazuma? Am I living up to your expectations? Am I turning out to be the lawyer you believed I could be? Pardon the interruption. Hurley! But what the deuce is a man to do to be noticed around here, my dear fellow? Oh, that voice! It's too late for that voice now, Miss Naruto. I've been standing here patiently in the corner of the room for an eternity. Haha, yes, it was me all along. I would have said when you finally noticed me. But you people with your incessant blabbling. Babbling? Oh, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, yes, it was me all along, you see. Darling. I'd assumed you'd been taken back to the hospital, to be honest. Indeed I was. But I managed to escape again. Oh. I happen to be aware of one or two foibles of the doctor who was tending to me. I merely made my knowledge of them known to the man, and he happily issued me with a leave of absence. How very above board. But of my adventures, that was a fine victory, Miss Naruto. Your tireless efforts justly rewarded, I feel. Congratulations are in order. As a close friend, I tip my hat to you.
Oh, well, thank you. Some great detective you are. Great at being cold as ice, maybe.
Have I irked you in some way, Miss Lestrade?
While you've been having a snooze in your nice soft bed, some of us have been found for our lives.
Ah, well, that bullet did cause me to lose a substantial amount of blood, that's true. So I've indeed been feeling somewhat cold. Not perhaps as cold as ice, but well. Have a feel.
Okay. Could you take your hands off my neck, please, Mr. Schmoops?
God, I'm gonna marry him in The Sims. And in some way, I suppose. Congratulations are in order for you too, Miss Lestrade.
Well, what's that supposed to mean? Why so half-hearted?
Well, naturally. It isn't my intention to alarm you, but... an acquittal in the trial, or that particular prosecutor, is perhaps a little precarious.
Well done, Mr. Sholmes. Not alarming in the slightest. Oh, the Reaper, you mean? Because anyone who's not found not guilty in a trial he was working up winds up dead anyway, isn't that it?
The very point I was trying to make. As exemplified by the fate of Mr. McGilded, in fact. Ah, but of course, I pay no attention to such irrational drivel myself.
Yeah, well, that don't bother me.
Oh, really?
Of course not. The way I see it, the Reaper's a bit like I'm upstairs. Him upstairs? You mean like, what? Well, yeah. I'm upstairs knows what's what, right? Oh, him upstairs knows what, right? He knows what people are like on the inside. He wouldn't have gotten the wrong end of the stick. There's some codes like that bog trotter what are rotten to the core. At the end of the day, I'm upstairs to make sure they get what they deserve. Well, I suppose that's one way of looking at it. Divine justice is one thing, though. The Reaper taking matters in his own hands and claiming lives is another. Well, I ain't like the McGills of this world, so I ain't got scared. I got principles, see?
A trait in you which is to be admired, Miss Lestrade.
Oi, just give it a rest, alright?
As I was saying, congratulations are in order. The news of your acquittal was very welcome news to me indeed. Let me express my heartfelt congratulations, Gina.
Well, there you are, Hurley. How long have you been here? Well, honestly, I went to the main entrance especially to meet you there.
Oh, Iris, my dear, I do apologize. But wait until I tell you what happened. This pair made utter fools of themselves.
Well, what happened?
As you know, I have a penchant for disguise. I was hiding in this room dressed as a bailiff. But these dolts didn't notice my presence at all. They had no idea. Could you imagine, Iris? Would you credit it?
I'm not sure, really.
I beg your pardon?
Well, I'm sorry, Hurley, but you just don't have the weighty presence you seem to think you have. In fact, you really ought to be careful about that. It's gonna land you in trouble one day. Aww.
I'll be careful.
Ouch. Well, anyway, it's such a shame. I was so hoping to throw a party for Ginny tonight. But you won't be able to come, will you? Don't look like I'm gonna...
Sorry, just realized something. Mrs. Susato knew about the Hound of Baskervilles because she made the peephole, saw the Hound of Baskervilles manuscript. She didn't do anything super wrong. Cool.
Don't look like I'm gonna go nowhere for a while. You're the judge's patter. I got stuff to make amends for, apparently. All them offenses. What was it again? Breaking and entering? Taking the bog trotter stuff? What was in lug? Blah, blah, blah? Well, yeah, I think you'll find that basically being a pickpocket is the main offense. But dabbing ain't an offense. It's a job, ain't it? No. Still, it has got me thinking all this. Maybe I should start looking for another line of work. I mean, you didn't start off as a lawyer, did you, Otto? Well, no, but I was never a pickpocket. Well, anyway, I reckon I can make a change.
Don't say it, judicial assistant. Don't say it, judicial assistant.
I'm gonna do something for the law. I'm gonna do something for all of them like me from the slums. Something that makes a difference for them. That's a wonderful idea, Ginny. I'm sure you can do it.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
What is it?
Oh, okay. Sorry, I support your dreams. Just don't.
Nothing.
Miss Gina Lestrade. The prison carriage has arrived, ma'am. Come with me to the rear gate at once.
Right. Well, looks like I'm off then. Yeah, goodbye, Gina, and good luck. Otto? Yeah?
You think I would move out the way?
Ugh. What was that for? I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say, so...
Ah, indeed. Perhaps the situation calls for a phrase hitherto missing from your vocabulary, Mrs. Strahd.
Eh?
On occasions such as this, I'd recommend a simple thank you.
Oh. Oh, yes. It's good advice, Ginny. Alright, I see. Well... Aww. Thanks, Otto.
Odo?
Aww. Thank you for everything, what you've done. For believing in me.
Well, not at all. In fact, it should be my line.
Thank you, Gina.
That was sweet. Give me a thumbnail.
Well, there she goes.
I wonder if I'll ever see her again. Well, well, quite the indomitable pick purse.
Oh, I nearly forgot. I brought a paper from outside. It's a special edition. It's Charles all over the front page. Pickpockets, innocence proven. Isn't it wonderful?
Well, you should have shown it to Gina, Iris. She would have been thrilled.
Oh no, how silly of me. Ah, but anyway, would you like the good news or the bad news?
Not again.
Well, what do you say, Runo? Hurley?
I want the good news. I want the bad news out the way first. Absolutely not. I have no intention of listening to anything but good news.
And there you have it. How people answer that question says a lot about them, doesn't it?
Well, let's not go there.
Well, alright then. Maybe let's start with the good news this time. The rain's finally stopped. And there's a record level of rainfall, apparently.
Well, that is good news indeed. We can journey back in for greater comfort.
Alright, okay, what's the bad news? The huge storm has left the seas very choppy. The channel in particular is awful, so sailings out Dover have been delayed by a day or more.
Wait, Dover?
That's right, if we head to the station immediately. We may still make it in time to wave Susie off.
Wait, but there won't be a train, surely. We couldn't be that lucky. Who do you think I am, Mr. Naruhodo?
Mr. Sholmes?
I rushed to Victoria Station earlier and made arrangements for a special express. If we hurry now, we should be there in time for dinner. 2.5 hours? We're going for 3 hours, okay. And I know of a fine restaurant that serves the most delicious baked sole.
I don't agree. The great detective does it again.
Indeed he does. I happen to be aware of the number of rail transport
Huh?
I merely made my knowledge of them known to the man, and he happily laid on the locomotive. Elementary.
Just an idea, but it might be wise to stop manipulating people that way. What are we waiting for then? To London Victoria.
Okay, Susato. Say goodbye, Susato. End this.
Aww.
That took somewhat longer than I anticipated.
Susie's boat must be about to leave now. Mrs. Otto, where are you? Over there, look. Look, she's reading something.
Don't trust in the sea, don't trust in the sea, don't trust in the sea. No!
Mrs. Otto, wait, what are you doing? Mr. Naruhodo, what are you doing here? Well, we came as soon as we could for the trial. I heard the sailings are being delayed due to bad weather, you see. Oh, I see. Then tell me, how did Gina's trial go? Well, it went well. She was acquitted. everyone's smiling at me so cutely. That's wonderful. Really wonderful news. The book you're about to throw into the sea. It was your encyclopedia of British law, wasn't it? Oh dear, I was hoping you hadn't seen that. I'm not worthy of practicing law in any way now. So I was saying my final farewell.
You were saying goodbye to law? You? Would I be correct in assuming it's because of the peephole, Miss Susato?
I deliberately altered the scene of the crime, and I tried to hide the fact. What I did is utterly unforgivable. That reminds me. How did you even come to have this, Susie? On the evening of the incident, Mr. Sholmes had invited Gina to dinner, if you remember. Oh yes, we had a wonderful time. Well, Gina gave us a little introduction lesson, didn't she? To the art of pickpocketing, I mean. Oh, it was so much fun. I still ran his armband. Yeah, don't do that again, Iris. That band's really important to me. Well, if it's so important, you should pay more attention to it. You didn't know us for ages. On a whim, I thought it'd be fun to see if I could take the cat flap-o-mat. So I put it up my sleeve. Wait, really? And then I rather forgot about it until I found myself in Mr. Windibank's shop with it later that night. Oh, I see. And then... Mr. Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes! After Mr. Naruhodo had left the shop, I started to think. The door started to play on my mind.
The storeroom door, you mean?
Yes. If Gina were anywhere in the shop, I realized it could only be behind that door. At that moment, the little device that I had up my sleeve sprang to mind. I was so worried about Gina, I simply had to know.
So, you used the cat flap-o-mat to make the peephole in the door?
As captured in a photographic print of the shop. By one of Hurley's red-handed recorders.
Indeed. It was one of Indeed. It was of the first importance at that point. Precisely when the peephole was made, that information would prove to be Mr. Naruhodo's greatest weapon. Though, naturally, without proof, it would have amounted to nothing.
But when I looked through the hole in the door, the sight that met my eyes made my blood run cold. Thoughts started to run through my mind. I remember that trial 2 months earlier.
The trial of Magnus McGilded.
I thought about how he had manipulated the evidence and arranged false testimony to secure his freedom. It made the British justice system feel very dark and sinister to me. And then a terrible thought occurred to me. What if some wicked criminal was planning to do the same thing now? Because from the appearance of the crime scene, it looked exactly as though Gina had shot Mr. Windibank. Even though I was sure she would have never done such a thing.
You're worried that the true culprit would try to frame her for the crime.
That's right. But then I realized it would be very difficult for anyone to give false testimony in this case.
Well, what do you mean?
Well, the crime appeared to have happened behind the door of a locked room. For someone to claim falsely to have witnessed it, there would have had been a way to see it from beyond the door.
Oh. For which a peephole would have been the very thing.
Only the peephole I had made wasn't actually there until after the crime had been committed, of course. And the criminal would know that, so it wouldn't make any difference.
But the possibility of a rather ingenious trap was there, was it not? A trap? Is that why she did it? So, is that why you kept it a secret, Susie? You never mentioned that you made the peephole to anyone, not even to the police.
I know. I knew at the time what I was doing was wrong. A criminal offense, even. That's why I decided to confide in Mr. Sholmes. If Mr. Naruhodo was completely backed into a corner, with no other possible means of escape, the truth about the peephole could save him. That was my plan.
She really does think of everything. But then,
Why didn't you just tell me everything before the trial began?
My dear fellow, you're not thinking straight. If she had done that, it would have rendered you complicit in the whole escapade.
Oh.
You would have been disbarred if you had been seen. You could have been disbarred if you had been seen to have knowingly tampered with a crime scene. So Mrs. Susato decided to shoulder the burden of responsibility alone. For your sake and Miss Lestrade's.
Mrs. Otto.
The truth is, when it happened, I did it because I lost a little of my faith in the law.
Oh.
I was worried that the right person wouldn't be convicted of the crime. But the moment I allowed myself to think that is the moment I lost my right to call myself a judicial assistant.
Oh, Susato, no. What you did isn't comparable to what he did. Great is the one who lied on the witness stand using that peephole in the way to implicate Gina. And besides, if the peephole inconsistency hadn't existed, I'm not at all sure that she would have been acquitted in the end. Mrs. Otto, what you did saved Gina's life.
Well, with your kind words, Mr. Naruhodo, you saved me too from my regrets. Well, we must all be thankful for that Miss Lestrade's freedom has been assured. Temporarily, technically.
Well, exactly. Although some of those loose ends in the trial will continue to play my mind, I'm sure.
But the revelation of the music box disc contains secret messages, Mr. Naruhodo. What a triumph to work that out. I'm full of admiration.
Well, actually, the argument wasn't quite as compelling as I thought it was.
Wait, it wasn't?
There was a communications officer among the jury members, you see, a telegraph operator. And she said the majority of the sounds on the disc were just meaningless tones.
As one would expect. After all, we're talking about secret government communications. No doubt they're written in a cipher to avoid being readily understood should they have been intercepted.
In cipher? Oh, I see. So we could never have hoped to understand the message anyway.
Nonsense, my dear fellow. It's quite a zero-pipe problem, I assure you.
We're not going to try to solve it right now, are we? Because government secrets and all. Eh? So? Gi? Wait, whoa, what? Kazuma?
Well, that can't be a real word, can it? How funny.
Iris, what did you just say?
I just said Asogi.
Does that word mean something to you?
Mean something?
Asogi wasn't even my best friend.
What? But how? How'd you know that name, Iris?
I wrote it down during the trial before, when the message was playing the music box. She transcribed it on the fly? She really is a genius. I thought the message probably wouldn't be written out in plain Morse code, so I tried various ways to interpret it. But whatever I tried, the words just didn't seem to make any sense.
Well, that is, in English at least. Oh.
It suddenly occurred to me, you see. There's more than one Morse code, not just the English variety. Various countries in the world have altered and added to Morse code to use it in their own languages. I don't believe it. Are you saying? Well, that's right. I've only actually seen a chart of Japanese Morse code once before. But I think it's based on the Iroha pangram, isn't it? And you mean to say that in Japanese Morse code, the message says Asogi?
Yes, I think so.
Sorry, but I don't remember all the Japanese Morse code.
Iris, would you let me see that?
Mrs. Otto, do you know it? Do you know Japanese Morse code?
Yes, I spent some time studying it. Because I'm quite sure Morse code will be ever more important for international communications. Then, I might recommend, my dear madam, that you focus your efforts on the English version. Be that as it may, Iris, show me the message, please.
Well, of course. I'm so curious.
But what could this possibly mean?
Whatever is in that long sequence of supposedly meaningless dots and dashes. It's made the color drape from Susato's face.
There's no doubt this message is written in Japanese Morse code.
So the British Empire has been using Japanese for its secret communications? I don't understand the reason why, but the message appears to be a list of 4 people's names. 4 names? The first is Keisogi. Kazuma Sogi, but why? What was his name on the disc? The second is A Shin. Shin? I don't recognize that name. The third is T. Gregson. Gregson? Ah, it would seem Tobias Gregson is the 3rd man on the list. Well, what does his name do on a secret government communication as well? And the last name. Is it your dad? Is it your dad? What's the matter, Mrs. Zato? It's just so strange. It's so unexpected. Oh, what is it, Susie? Don't keep us in suspense. The last name is J. Wilson. What? Wait, Wilson? John H. Wilson? You mean Daddy? It says only J. Wilson, so I'm afraid I can't be sure. Then, after the 4 names it reads, if I translate from Japanese, that is all— Wait, okay. So Wilson's murdered. Oh, so sorry, the camera's gone. Wilson's murdered. Kazuma's been murdered. Gregson's next. They're gonna kill Gregson! And that's the end of the message, or rather, the end of what you noted down, Iris. Well, I just can't believe it. Who would ever have thought that those discs contain Japanese Morse code? Not to mention a strange list of some disturbingly familiar names. It would appear that this particular message is a communication of some kind between Great Britain and the Empire of Japan. So, Daddy could be in Japan then, where Susie and Runo come from. Oh, well. No. It's not really likely, is it? I mean, there are thousands of people with the surname Wilson, and there must be lots of J's among them. I was like, are we going to tell her? Professor John H. Wilson, visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University. We can't tell Iris about that now. We just can't. This is so strange. Somehow, in solving the case of Mr. Windham's murder today, I feel like I've rolled back a boulder in the mouth of a very dark cave. I do wonder if perhaps it's a dark cave that we shouldn't go wandering inside. Well, but Kazuma's name's on it. Honk. Oh dear. The ship is going to set sail soon. Well, yeah, it seems so. I'll sail on the steamship first to the port of Dunkirk in France. Then I'll change to a larger passenger vessel bound for Japan. You're really going then, Susie? We wish you a safe passage, Mrs. Otto. Thank you so much. I wish all of you the very best. Well, Mrs. Otto, I hope to have you always at my side to guide me and support me. Mr. Naruhodo, that sounds like a marriage proposal. Please, come back soon. As far as I'm concerned, you really are the very best judicial assistant in the world. I'm quite sure. I'll be back before you know it. Really, Susie? Oh, now don't forget, Iris. I made you a promise I've yet to fulfill. A promise? About your manuscript. Ah. Oh yeah, the Hound of the Baskervilles. Well, I'll be waiting for you then, Susie. A promise is a promise. Definitely, Iris. No, she knew before going to, after the shooting, huh? Susato, what are you hiding? Mr. Naruhodo. Well, yeah? Do you remember the first time we met? Of course. On the SS Buria when I was dragged out from that wardrobe, still half asleep. If I remember rightly, you threw me halfway across the cabin with the Susato takedown. You know very well I'm talking about after that. It's strange, being thrown together as we were in that case. I somehow felt straight away. that you were the perfect person to continue Kazuma-sama's great legacy. Mrs. Susato. And my instincts were right. I really want to believe. No, I'm sure that. I'll be back soon. Farewell until then.
Somehow we seem to have come to the end of the adventures of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Or the first volume, at least. Looking back now, it feels as though fate has led me on this journey. Fate led me to becoming a lawyer, to traveling halfway around the world, to meeting the great detective. I'm sure there'll be trials and tribulations ahead. Of course there will. But whatever happens, I know I'll be able to turn my fortunes around. After all, I have the greatest friends in the world on my side.
Oh, okay. Ah, yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, Mr. Sholmes, I mean, that was a perfect ending. I was going to cut it there, but okay. I have some rather awkward news. The railway company has decided to sue over the special express train, apparently. Huh? It caused such a commotion on the line. All the other trains had to wait at the stations. But really, we have never made it to Dover in time otherwise. Anyway, I explained everything, and how it was all your fault. Huh? Huh? I believe a formal complaint should be delivered to your office tomorrow. But not to worry, my dear fellow, according to Mrs. Susato. You love defending yourself in court. Huh? Huh? It's alright, I'm perfectly happy to testify. He really didn't look like the sort of man who'd do something so outrageous. See? You know what? Mr. Sholmes? Yes. A word? Why, certainly. Any word you like. Bellow it out, my dear fellow. Oh yes, I love Reno's words. And I know just the one he'll use here. His objection? Well, then, I really must say.
Objection!